morning, everyone, and welcome to our time together. I'm Lori Lamantia, and I'm here with the wonderful and beautiful Tricia Fiske.
Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So today our topic is build your enjoy life muscle. And the idea behind this is really this idea of building your muscle. And as we all know, muscle is something that we have, but in order to develop it and have it grow stronger, you do have to put some attention, energy, and focus on being muscular, building it, on strengthening it. And so we thought it was what a great metaphor for how it really is about creating the kind of life we want. It's by using that choice to build the enjoyment muscle that actually is part of our journey here, as far as I can tell, as a soul, as a human, as a person. Tricia, how would you define what we're going to do today as far as building your enjoy life muscle?
Well, I look at this as, you know, we all need to know how to soothe ourselves
Mm.
and what works for us when we're struggling with something or we're unhappy about something. And the only way something can work is if we've practiced it when we're not in a rough spot and we know, like, oh, if I'm starting to feel and anxious, I know this always works for me. Go out for a walk or go to the gym or whatever it is. But you need to trust that action or reading or whatever it is. You need to trust that before you're in a situation where you're all stressed out. So, yeah, it's like strengthening any muscle. You do it by repetition and you
Right.
by repeating it. And yeah, I'm working on my quads right now, and I got a new bike program, and man, that first week they were killing me.
Right. Yes.
Got to keep going back, and then now today it's like, wow, they're like back to normal again. So, it building a muscle is when you first start, it can push your buttons, but you stay with it, and right.
Because it's worthwhile. It's something that's going to enhance your life. And I have a deck of these money muscles, and it's about choosing to invest your money, your time, your energy, your focus into that particular thought domain, into that particular way of approaching life. And it is very different than just kind of randomly letting life come at you and, Harry, Carry, whatever is, becomes what is. There's a lot we can do, and that's this intention that comes from the choice of building the quote unquote muscle, which is really a metaphor that we're using. But I think everybody understands that in the back of their mind what muscle building is. And so that's why we're using that term. And it was interesting because over the weekend I hung out with my family and my nephew. I was talking to my nephew, and he's just all about work. He's all about, and I said to him, "Did you get dressed up for Halloween?" He's like, "I don't have time for Halloween." And I'm like, did you, watch the trick-or-treaters?" And he's like, "Trick-or-treaters, I'm working through trick-or-treat." In fact, they were in the way when I was driving down the street. I had to wait for them to cross the street. And I was like, holy crowleys. And and Mark said, he doesn't have an enjoy life muscle built at all. It's just completely atrophied. And I got to thinking about that. I was like, he really doesn't have in fact, it's an anti-muscle. I don't want that. I don't need to enjoy life. In fact, I don't have time to enjoy life. And I think that's a really interesting thing that we all go through at different phases of our lives, that I don't have time to enjoy my life, or I'll enjoy my life later, or it's not virtuous to enjoy. Hard work is the virtue, not
Right.
enjoyment. And and I just think it's important for us on our abundance journey to really take a look at that and say, wait a second, is that where I want to go with myself? And it's not that you can't put your focus on things. Absolutely not. In fact, we were talking about this podcast. I love doing it. And yeah, we have to show up for it and blah blah blah. But the bottom line is it's such an enhancement and an enjoyment. And I think that's and I love doing it with you. And so I think we can work, quote unquote, work or do things in our lives that are how we make our living and things. But we can have an and. It can be that and enjoy life. But I do think his enjoyment of life muscle is almost non-existent. Whenever you hang out with him, it's just really almost uncomfortable because he just has no joy. And it's like, oh, and he's so young, So anyway, that's part of our journey, I think, as we're doing this, is to give ourselves permission to build that muscle, to know how to take time for ourselves, to know how to de-stress ourselves, like you said. If you don't invest in that, then it's not going to be there as a resource for you when you really need it.
Right. And even, I mean, yes, there are the times when you really need it because you're so stressed out, but just to know that that you have a way to just have fun sometimes too. Not even only when you're stressed out, but just that you have this thing of what really brings you joy or contentment in the middle of a okay day where nothing's going wrong.
Right. Yeah. And it's simple things, and it's the simple things. It's not
Yeah.
the big stuff. And we've talked about this before, but the muscle building is noticing it. The muscle building is giving yourself permission to do it. Like I give, I squirt whipped cream directly in Cocoa Puff's mouth. She loves it. It just makes her so happy. Cocoa Puff is our puppy. And she's got whipped cream all over her face. And it's so fun. And I don't care. So what? I'm squirting it out of the can, all the rules about it, not sanitary, whatever. It's the cutest thing. And it's simple, but it's those little joy moments and big joy moments. But that's for me. I don't know, you got to know what works for you. I'm sure yours are very different. You don't have a Cocoa Puff, and I bet you don't even have whipped cream in your house.
I don't, but my that's ghee, a little bit of ghee, and they're like the minute the jar comes out of the pantry, starts yelling and screaming.
They say, "Oh my God, yay!" I know, right? And so I hope it's not being lost on everyone that the building of the muscle is a very, again, personal experience in that you've got to resonate with it. You need to pay attention to what builds your joy muscle and what makes you feel in your heart. And for sure, not push away the stuff that brings you joy because it's not virtuous or I'll get to it later. That's really important. And this is a conscious choice. We're talking about conscious choosing to even build these muscles.
Yeah, I would, Lori, what are some of the words specifically in your book that you recommend focusing this muscle on?
Well, we talk a lot about allowing and that understanding of the peace and flow, but it's also about allowing yourself to go into your heart, the things that bring you joy. I also like the money muscle. I love money and money loves me. I mean, really giving yourself to enjoy the things that, because I remember we used to get together remember we used to get together with Amy, and I remember thinking when we first started, when we were talking about money, that it was wrong. Oh, it had all this stigma. And over the course of time, again, building my money muscle, I've learned to appreciate the energy of money. I've learned to enjoy having it come in and sharing it freely, that in and out flow. But I had to allow myself to enjoy money muscle, enjoy having money, see money as an energy and not a thing. That whole money journey has been a building of a muscle for me because I didn't want it to be my enemy. And I didn't, every time I thought about it, didn't want to feel like, oh, you know, crap. And and for a long time I did. I was scared of it, then I didn't have it, and I was mad at it, all this stuff. Instead of, wait a second, stop, reverse. let's realign to let's build my muscle and have it be how I want to feel about money and not those kind of things.
Yeah, that's great. I know um one of my little muscles that I'm building too is just being enthusiastic to create prosperity, abundance, and money. Like, be excited about it. It can be fun and not just a curse.
Right,
Oh, right,
right.
right.
Yeah. And I almost think, and now that we're talking about it, I almost feel like we build an opposite muscle. We build the hard work muscle because that's what we were taught. We were taught, my nephew was like, I don't have time for all that fun stuff. He doesn't take vacations. I've got to work. That's the virtue, that's the muscle. And I don't disagree with it, except that if it's so bulging that nothing else can get in your shirt, it's a problem. If your shirt's exploding from one, and you can't hit. I know that doesn't make any sense. I don't know where I was going that with metaphor, but it does. It takes over. And so choosing what muscles we're going to develop is really important. And abundance muscles are different than hard efforting muscles. Effortless muscles are very different than, I'll call it, traditional life muscles. And Hmm, boy, if we could really make that consciousness that we are of effortlessness, we were meant to, ask and it's given with no time and space between. That means we are developing ourselves to see life in a different way and be in life in a different way.
Right. And so what one something that popped into my mind while you were saying that is maybe a decision about a muscle to build would be when you think or talk about money, prosperity, abundance, what's your trigger? And that's the muscle that you want to build. And right, what is something, and maybe you don't even know yet what the thing is that's going to help build that muscle. So you play around with it and you try out some different stuff and seeing. I mean, when you were building your money muscle, did you know what to do right away, or did you just start playing around with it?
No, I really didn't. I knew what didn't feel good. Feeling bad about money. I knew I didn't want that. And so the journey was, well, how do I feel better about money? Well, I'm going to educate myself about it. I'm going to be willing to learn about stocks and real estate and all kinds of stuff. I'm going to learn how to be money literate, let's say, if I'll call it financially literate. I'm also going to understand the metaphysics of money, which is the energy that is flowing, and understand that we are energy beings, and just reframe money from a different perspective. And then of course, the word that you when you were saying that about appreciation, and I hate to say this, but I think I've mentioned this before. In the past, I've had a little bit of a thing with appreciation, but noticing it and saying, wow, that's so cool. I can buy that piece of gum, or I have the scarf on and I'm like, I can buy that. And sometimes I choose to, and sometimes I don't, but I knowing that you can or is really an abundance experience. So the journey of or just appreciating your life, and here at the enjoying of life muscle, like we were talking about, it could be whipped cream, it could be ghee, it could be coffee, it could be tea. It doesn't, it's not, it's what all of a sudden something that's very personal to you is, oh yeah, life is good and I'm glad I'm enjoying it.
Right.
And
It's that lightning moment, lighten
yes,
up moment.
yes,
Right. I heard a thing on TV last weekend, and it was an interview with some comedian, and it just really stayed with me. He was saying, and I can't remember his name, but he was saying that he used to always be looking for happy,
yeah.
and with happy comes sad. Right. So he gave up happy for contentment,
Mm,
and contentment is non-dual. It's right. It's in a moment. It's in whipped cream. It's in ghee. It's right. Just that in this moment, I'm content, I'm present, and I'm here, and everything is as it should be.
Totally. I think that contentment muscle is a part of the enjoy life deck of muscles that we build. Learning to that be in that presence and that appreciate, and to me that's the appreciation mode, because it's like, oh, this is just such a nice moment. And it doesn't have to change, nothing has to be added, nothing has to be subtracted. That's true presence.
Mm.
And that, I think contentment is a wonderful word for that. So, how would you wrap this up? Because I almost feel like there's a little bit of a homework exercise here.
Right. It is. And the first step, again, notice what words make you uncomfortable, because you said it. You developed the muscle first by understanding what you didn't want.
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to look there first. And then,
Yes.
right, what speaks to you to start to work that muscle? And then just get started. I mean, and I used my thing about building up my quadriceps. So it's like every other day, because you got to have a day to do it, a day of rest. So maybe you start with that way. You do your muscle building every other day and take a day off to rest.
Yeah, well, totally, because you're going to fall back into your old habits. Like my nephew, he's going to fall back into the hard work is the muscle I do. And for him, it is going to be a choice. Like Julia, in the artist way, she talks about taking artist dates, take take moments that allow you to help you develop your muscle. We were talking about presence. When you go to yoga, you learn presence. I mean, there's ways to develop these muscles that are very, very specific. Um, that, like you said, go to the club, go to yoga, even listening to a YouTube, or put on a piece of music that puts you in that contentment mode. It's really interesting how simple they are, but unless you break up the pattern of, my nephew, just take 5 minutes in the morning before you run out the door and just be. That was a giant effort for him, but that's on the journey to enjoy my life mode. That's building that muscle, the muscle of contentment. For a lot of people, that idea is weak. I can't be content. That means I'm not going to try. I'm not going to shove. I'm going to go, so even the word contentment, I've talked to one of my friends about that. And at first we were really uncomfortable with that word because it implies hmm, abdication or
Mm.
I'm done. But in that moment, it's delicious. Contentment is delicious too. So, um, the muscle building is, like you said, noticing what works for you and then doing it, or trying to, if putting it in, making it a part of your day or your routine, or that's how the muscle develops, how it gets stronger, and realizing that there's choice behind that
Yeah,
development. You're in the driver's seat of it.
right.
So, as you spend time this week, everyone listening, think about the muscles you would like to develop that are going to enhance and contribute to your abundance journey. And one of them might be this enjoy life muscle, which is these are the things I enjoy. These are the things that bring me contentment. And I'm going to put a few more of those in my day to day, in my week to week, and see how it doesn't just daisy chain into an enjoyable life. Not someday, but now.
I love that.
Right. Oh, this was such a nice time. Thank you so much. I love hanging out and talking with you. Very contenting. Have a great week, everyone. Namaste.
Bye, everybody. Swaha.